Welcome to the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. Jeff, DiVeronica and Steve Bradley talking to another Section 5 girls basketball contender as we get ready for the postseason. It's going to be here before you know it. It's Batavia Notre Dame. As we record this, they are 15-1. They've won 13 in a row and certainly a contender to win a third straight Section 5 title. They are the two-time defending D1 champions. Joining us here, Coach Tom McCulley, along with his daughter. She's a senior captain, Amelia McCulley, there in the bottom, the only two-person screen. There we go. Hi, McCulley family. How are you?
Hello.
Also at the top of the screen, her name is a famous one in Section 5 boys basketball. Her dad is Avelin Tomidy, a former great player, and that is Avelin Tomidy. Did I get it? Avelin?
Avelin,
Right.
yeah.
And Emma Sisson, a junior she's one of those, Steve, I did some stat looking here. She just stuffs the stat sheet wherever she needs to. One game, she's the top scorer. One game, she's leading in steals. And in some of the close wins, I noticed that you've had some different scores. So we'll talk all about your season in just a minute. But Steve, Genesee Region is always a good brand of basketball, isn't it?
It is, and the Irish making the step up from Class D to Class C. They're in C2 this year. I know they've scheduled some tough games already. Last year, Amelia was out with a knee injury, and they still found a way to win sectionals. So, Tom, you mentioned Avelin's dad, Alan. Tom was 1992 State Class D Player of the Year at Notre Dame too. So they've got some pretty good pedigree here. Tom, what do you like about your team and the way it's been playing during this 15-game streak?
I like that we've gotten, like Steve kind of alluded to, we've gotten some balance from everybody this year. Amelia's our top scorer, but on any given night, depending on what the defense wants to throw at us, Emma and Avelin are capable of having games. And so as a coach, you want to get your team in a situation where the other team has to kind of pick the poison, what they want to do. And you can counter that with different sets and different girls. And they're all capable of stepping up and scoring 20 and getting 10 rebounds and steals. I mean, they're well-rounded players, so it makes it difficult for opponents to kind of figure out what they want to do.
Avelin, let me ask you about this team. You have one of your best players come back from injury. You've got some good pieces. You haven't had a lot of close games. You've won a lot of really big wins. When you're blowing a team out, how do you all keep your standard high? How do you stay sharp, even though you're going to win by 30 points? You probably know that after the first quarter.
I think it's just that our work ethic is really well. We've spent so much time in practice really maintaining a high degree of game all the time. And so I think also we don't have a lot of subs. Our team's kind of small, so we really have to rely on each other to score and keep scoring and keep each other up. So I think that's what fuels us.
Emma, what do you see as your role on the team? On good, successful teams, everybody has a role and accepts that role and tries to do their best to excel in that role. What's your role?
My role, I try my best to be well-rounded. Like, obviously, some games I'm not going to score, but that's okay because I try my best to just help the team out as much as I can. If one person's open, I'm not going to be selfish and take it when somebody else is open. So I'm going to pass them, give them the shot, and then hopefully we're all just working together and getting the rebounds, and that's what I'm trying to do.
I'm looking at some of the numbers I compiled today. Amelia's averaging almost 24 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, couple assists. Miss Tomidy's averaging 10.7 points per game, almost 8 rebounds. And Emma, you, like I said, 9 points per game, 5.5 boards, about 3.5 steals. Coach, you have three, the big three here, right? Who are some other role players here that fill in the blanks where you need them on the squad?
Well, we've got Nina Barch, who's a junior, and Maggie Monachino, who's a senior. And they have their moments this year on the boards and knocking down the open shot, because a lot of times, these three get a lot of the attention. So when the ball gets reversed and they're standing there, they're ready to shoot. And they both had some nice games against teams that were giving us that shot. So it kind of, Against Oakfield the other night, last week, Maggie Monachino might have had her best game of the year. She scored 6 points, had like 4 boards, a couple steals. You know, and I think what was the score? I think we only scored in the 40s. It was, you know, it wasn't
41.
Yeah, it wasn't a very high scoring game. So, I mean, those are huge moments for her. And as well as Nina Barnes, she has similar games to where she's come out and scored 5, 6, 7 points, got 4, 6, 8 boards. And those are huge, you know, to give us those extra possessions and just have that energy out there to kind of fill in some of the gaps, has been a nice addition for us this year.
Now, Jeff, Amelia had a knee injury last year and missed the season. She came back and scored her 1,000th point a couple weeks ago. Amelia, what was that road like for you? And you know, 1,000 points is tougher these days, especially with your group with COVID and things. What was it like for you just to overcome that injury and get back on the court and be with your team?
At first it was really tough, I'm not gonna lie, but as the season went on and I was watching the basketball games, I was obviously cheering on my team, but I knew that if I wanted to come back, I couldn't just not put in the work. So that's really what I did. And I watched Colin, my older brother, go through it. So I saw what he had to do. And that kind of led me to get in the weight room more and just do what I had to do, because I knew I had to be better than what I was before to get back.
So what did you learn, if there's anything, let me go deep here for a second. Anything you learned about yourself during having to sit and watch like that?
Definitely not to take it for granted. When I first was a freshman, everyone was like, oh, these 4 years, they go by so fast. And I was like, it's 4 years. How can that go by fast? But it really does. And on top of COVID season and then missing a year and only having a limited amount of seasons, I really just learned to not take it for granted.
Tom, I mean, let's put on the dad hat for just a second, take the coach hat up. You've had 2 of your children go through knee injuries and ACLs and that recovery. How does that test not just your children, but your whole family being as athletic as they are?
It was difficult. But like I've said many times, that's what we're faced with. And there's no avoiding it. There's no getting around it. I mean, you could face adversity like that. You could take it one of 2 ways. You can tank it and just, say, oh, that this is what it is and too bad and all that type of stuff. Or you can just take it day by day and just grind it out. And that's what they did. And that's what my wife, Amanda, and I, did whatever we could to get them to physical therapy, to get them to the doctors, to whatever avenue they wanted to take. If they're willing to put the work in, we were gonna make it happen for them. So they both really just went after it, and because maybe they felt like their team needed them, or they had a little bit more added pressure there to get there. Whatever it was, they were motivated and they came back and they're both looking great. Their knees are good, and Amelia's having a fantastic year. So that just shows you the dedication and commitment. Like she said, when you're young and you think high school is going to be forever, you take things for granted. You never plan on injury. You never plan on bad things happening to you. You never plan on making the mistake. But it's how you respond to those things that, as a father, makes me proud to see how they adjusted to it, and they just went after it, and are back to where they were.
When you're a teenager, my dad used to say it's the best time of your life, right? You feel like mom and dad are paying for the bills, and you get to go to school and see your friends. And it sounds like you all have figured out that this is a really cool time, and you've won 2 straight titles. And I know from talking to your coach and you all that you're hungry for a third. So let's take a quick break, come back, talk a little bit more. I want to talk about Avelin Tomidy, Avelin's dad. I knew I was going to do it. And Emma, I want to talk to you too about coach. I want to hear more about what coach is like in the huddles. So we'll take a quick break, come back, talk more with you right here on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show.
Looking for a used truck? Can you find one out of 350? At BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com, you'll find one. Love SUVs? 800 are waiting for you to take one home at BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com. at 350 pre-owned sedans, and you've got a total of 1,500 used vehicles only at BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com.
Bob Johnson's got your ride. Bob Johnson.
While we celebrate 140 years of serving our community, the kind of delicious joy that lasts a lifetime, we look forward to serving you for 140 more. With hardworking, wholehearted, passionate people who will help shape new memories for generations to come.
Have you visited Roberts Wesleyan University yet? The time is now to choose your own time to get a customized visit. You'll get a feel for the university, meet a current student over lunch, tour the campus, and more. You can set up a visit anytime and any day that works for you. Schedule your visit at roberts.edu/visit. At Roberts Wesleyan University, we want to make your visit twice as rewarding. Be one of the first 500 students to visit campus and receive a $100 Amazon gift card. To qualify, the traditional undergraduate student must attend an on-campus admissions event or personalize a visit to campus with at least 3 activities. 1 gift card per student. For more information, visit roberts.edu/visit.
You don't choose to get hurt at work, but you can choose the workers' comp attorneys at Connors and Ferris to fight for your money and medical benefits you deserve.
With over 20 years of industry experience, we will give your case our undivided attention so that you and your family can focus on your recovery.
So call Connors and Ferris, the workers' comp attorneys dedicated to fighting for injured workers' rights.
Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys.
The best 3 things here at McQuaid are definitely the sports, the brotherhood, and the service to community. I think that's a really big, important thing that McQuaid stresses, which is part of creating a better and great man. You definitely feel a connection with your fellow students here. It's being all guys school. You're able to relate to each other on a personal level, and everyone's very welcoming here with open arms and willing to be your friend.
Hi, this is Jeff DiVeronica. I'd like to tell you about my friends from Doyle Security. We lost my father-in-law a few years ago, and that meant my mother-in-law was going to be alone in her house. One of my first calls was to Doyle. Doyle has an award-winning burglary detection system, and that gave her peace of mind again. It gave her comfort. These days, you can't put a price tag on that. Whether it's for your family or yourself, at any stage of your life, Doyle is there for you. For seniors, Doyle offers a personally enabled GPS emergency response system. They have a full array of smart systems, including fire and carbon monoxide detection, security cameras, and more for your home or business. More than 35,000 families and businesses rely on Doyle every day and every night. Family owned and operated for more than 100 years, you don't have that kind of staying power unless you're doing something right. To learn more, call 1-866-GO-DOYLE or visit godoyle.com.
Sweet baby.
Local McDonald's operators care about our local schools, teams, and student athletes. That's why they support the return of high school athletics in the Rochester area and around the state. See you before or after the big game at McDonald's. Welcome back, Section 5. Game on!
Protecting your home's worth pays off when you trust the experienced team at American Custom. We've all seen our homes go up in value, making home improvements a wise choice. If you think your home is worth a lot now, just wait until our team is done with it. Call American today.
Welcome back to the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. Jeff DiVeronica and Steve Bradley talking with a Section 5 championship contender. They've proven to be a champion the last 2 years. And Steve, one of the real small school powers over the last 20 or 30 years since I've been around here. I mean, I covered a great player in a state championship team, Christina Volpe. God rest her soul. What a great team they had for Notre Dame. Emma, let me ask you about the history of this program. Are you girls aware of how much winning is usually done with Notre Dame by the time you get there?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because Notre Dame's won a lot. There's a lot of people to look at and be like, wow, they were good. But for us to continue on, I think it's always been Notre Dame. We got to keep the tradition alive, and we try our best to just achieve what we can do, and it takes us to the next level.
And Jeff, Amelia, you walk in that gym at Notre Dame, and they've done such a great job with all the renovations. All the history is really on display in terms of even record holders, and they go back to the charts in the wall, all the awards that
Well, Steve, how do you know so much about Notre Dame, Steve? How do you know so much?
I had some very influential moments there, and I married my wife is a class of '87. I've told you the biggest learning moment for me was blowing a 22-point lead and losing at the buzzer on a shot by Chris Shunk. Tommy, I don't know if you were there that night.
Hit the baseball shot in the corner and ran right downstairs.
Yeah, you and everybody else stormed the court like it was March Madness and got the tournament berth. But I mean, when you look up on the wall and you see all of that, and maybe it's the middle of summer on the days when it's not, you don't want to work. How much inspiration do you draw just by looking around and seeing that tradition?
Yeah, it's really exciting actually. And like you said, like in the summertime when no one really wants to be there, you know, everyone still shows up because we know that the names on the walls like aren't just there, like they're there for a reason because they put the work in and we just want to do the same. We put the work in and we want to win. So that's really the goal.
Avelin Tomidy is also joining us, and she is like her dad was Section 5 royalty. He was one of the greatest players in Section 5 history. We'll go on. Steve will tell you more about his post career, but I want to ask you about what you learned. I mean, he's a big guy, right? Are you back to the basket kind of, or you face up and go to the basket kind of player? Tell me about that.
Well, so he was a very aggressive offensive player, and he's harped on me to be more like that. But he just is like, it's just not in your nature. That's just one of the things he tells me. But I've really tried to work on being a more offensive minded player now. And I'm trying to follow in his footsteps. So.
And Jeff, I mean, Tommy, you grew up with Alan in the same town, Leroy. You went to Notre Dame, and he went to Leroy and had a great career. Your senior year, your team won a state title, but your relationship with him goes way back. I mean, maybe share a little bit of the history, and then how cool it is to be at this stage of life and be coaching your daughter and his daughter and a bunch of other people you grew up with daughters too.
It's fun. It's good stuff. I mean, Al and I have known each other since 4 or 5 years old at parochial school together. So, I've got great memories of Alan growing up and having fun. And we played on a really good Holy Family parochial league team back in the day. And really, that was where our love of basketball really kind of started to take off. And we had a great coach in Jack Wujik that got us in the gym and let us in that gym whenever we wanted to, and really spent a lot of time. We played 30 games a year, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And Al, Al and I were always there, and we had our little group and stuff like that. So to fast forward and have, I was just thinking about that the other day. I was going through some stuff and seeing Amelia and Avelin and the name, McCulley and Tomidy back together just kind of, brings back a little nostalgia, and it's just fun. It's just fun to be part of something like this that we were part of ever since, the parochial school days. It's the same kind of vibe, the same kind of feeling, the same, goal of just playing a game that you like to play and kind of hand that down. It kind of ties in with the tradition of the school and everything. It's just really good vibes right now.
So Avelin and Emma, Amelia's stuck with him, right? That's her dad. But you're going to go away in 10 years from now. You might be thinking, what was Coach McCulley like? So Emma, is there something 10 years from now when they say, what was Coach McCulley like, that will come rushing at you? I think he looks like Gina Oriema, who's a great women's basketball coach for UConn. I mean, he's like a spitting image. But what will come rushing at you 10 years from now about the great Coach McCulley?
When I first think of him, I think, wow, he was tough, but he really taught everything. He he's the type of guy where you may see him on the sideline and you're like, wow, like he's just yelling, but it's for a purpose. He's only going to yell at you if he knows you have potential, and that potential he wants to shine, and he's going to get it out of you one way or another.
Avelin, how about you? Is there something that will come rushing back to you about Coach McCulley years from now about him?
I would have to agree with Emma. The first thing that will probably come back is that he's all about tough love. So even if he's yelling at you and he's very intense, he's doing it just so you can be the best person. And even if it's on or off the court, he's always really caring for us. So it's really nice.
Tom, looking at the sectional bracket, we're 2 weeks away from when sectional start, but currently you've got the number 1 seed in C2. Lions is at number 2, Pavilions at number 3. One of the things that Jeff and I like about the small school sectionals is you're not getting third games. You're seeing teams in different styles, contrasting styles for the first time. And you see more, I don't want to call them upsets, but you see more games where maybe the lower seeds are able to win, and all of those differences where things come into play. As you size up your team 2 weeks away from sectionals, what are you looking at in terms of the C2 bracket and what your team's done well and needs to do to continue its success?
It's going to be a tough bracket. There's no doubt about it. And typically basketball at all different levels, it comes down to matchups. Who can match up with whose players and what styles of defense, and how do you stop the big post player? How do you slow the fast team down? And I think we're in a decent spot because we've got a little bit of both. We can play a couple different styles of basketball. Our girls are pretty smart, so I can change some things on the fly, and they're pretty good at doing that without having to waste time out and explain everything. We kind of rep that in practice, that intensity, and just and the way I coach, it's intense, so the kids are used to that, and those big moments and big gyms with big crowds and people yelling, and they don't get rattled by that. And I think that's a part of why we've been so successful, is because these girls are battle tested. They're battle tested in practice. They're battle tested. I try to put together a tough non-league schedule. I don't really concern myself with being a 1 seed. I've never been a 1 seed, because I do play a tough non-league schedule, because I don't want to fall apart at the end because we haven't been in those games. So I think we match up well with a lot of the teams. I think a lot of the teams match up well with us too. So it's going to come down to who's hot at the right time and who makes the right calls at the right time.
I
Amelia,
think I would have liked playing for this guy, Steve.
No, you should.
Hey, he's younger than us, so he wouldn't know Constantino and Hughes, would he? He's younger than us, right?
No, he had older brothers and sister. He knows them all.
I went to college with Steve Constantino and Tommy Hughes, a couple Notre Dame alums. So I know those guys from college. But anyway, Steve,
Amelia,
anything else?
I do, because let's let Amelia get the last word in here, okay? We've had everybody talk about her and then everybody talk about Dad. Amelia, what's it been like playing for Dad, and what is maybe the greatest lesson you've learned from him as a coach, or maybe as a father?
Well, growing up, he's always been my coach one way or another. Mainly like my family, like my uncle's always been my coach. So I'm always used to them coaching me, telling me what to do. And in the moment of the game, when he's yelling, I yell back. It's just like all in the moment. And he really does push me to do better. And even though he is a yeller, like I know that what he's saying is right and I should listen to him. So really, he's just helped me improve so much throughout all the years. And I wouldn't be as good as I would be without him or any of my other coaches.
Very cool. I hope my daughter will say the same thing about me someday, even though I'll probably never coach her. So even though I will say as a young man, I often thought about being a coach because, and your dad and your coach will understand this, when I was a kid, it was Massimino, Carnesecca, Calipari. It was all the Italian guys. And I'm like, maybe I should be a basketball coach. Turned out to be a sports writer. But anyway, a lot of fun getting to meet you all, and wishing you the best of luck in sectionals. Steve, good call, man. Steve knows how to pick them. He knows the guests. I love it. Everybody, thanks for being on our show and good luck in sectionals. Thanks, Irish.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Bradley, well done, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jeff.
Our
Girls, get
pleasure. Our pleasure. I covered a lot of girls basketball in my day, and it's always great to still get to cover you all in this way, and not, even though I'm not writing about you anymore with the DNC, it's still fun to be connected to Section 5. Tournament basketball, it's my favorite time of the year. So Batavia, Notre Dame, girls basketball. For Steve Bradley and our producer, Joe Broad, I'm Jeff DiVeronica. Thanks for watching us right here on YouTube on the Connor and Ferris High School Sports Show.